Hi Virgo, this is your 2024 year ahead reading using the tarot. I'm drawing to the end of this project. I pulled the World card today for myself, which shows a completion of a goal, and you are the second last sign that I'm reading for this series of annual readings, and I'm so excited to get into this. So I have pulled a tarot card for each month of 2024. I'm going to interpret those messages and downloads that come through intuitively. I will defer to another deck to pull a second card for each month to go a little deeper. And it's a great way actually to see if there are any duplicating cards which kind of tie the year together thematically. And of course these duplicating cards are going to prove to be some sort of a validation, I think. I think that's usually how I take it anyway. And if you are joining from for the first time, welcome. But if you're a returning Virgo, I especially want to welcome you back to these year ahead readings. Okay, so Virgo, let's get right into it. The card for January, and some of you may have already been dealing with this, it's the Five of Swords in reverse. The Five of Swords, I'll take it in reverse over taking it upright if I'm honest with you. So sometimes when we see the Five of Swords upright, we can be faced with the energy of, fuck, I made a mistake. How am I going to rectify this? What am I going to do about this? In the reversal, you already seem to know what you're going to do moving forward. You're already very much aware of the problems that have arisen for you lately, but more importantly, how you're going to bring about solution to this. The Five of Swords could have had you dealing, especially in the reversal, with the exposure of somebody who's quite toxic in your life, the energy of somebody who is kind of a hater, to be honest, is like being exposed now. In the reversal, you're able to sort of see that more fully. In February, the Nine of Wands in reversal. Let's just knock January and February out of the way right away. If that is where the challenge of the year ahead is, I personally would rather see that right off the bat. I also found this in the Scorpio reading where it was like, okay, let's get the challenges of January and February out of the way so that the rest of 2024 can be more like you coming into a sense of empowerment very soon. March, we have the King of Wands, success and victory and kind of like rising to any challenges and overcoming. So let's just say that January and February, you might already be noticing it just feels like you're like throwing in the towel a little bit, or there is just this kind of like momentary or, you know, kind of brief sort of, I guess I'm gonna say lapse, or kind of like low energy, or you feeling slightly defeated, or you're feeling like there's delays and challenges. I think we should just go deeper into January and February together. They look like it's like a running on, like a linked feeling almost, and I think that's what we should do, because things begin to really pick up for you then. And change direction, and you have like a lot of like an upswing and success coming pretty much directly afterwards. So Five of Swords in reverse in January, you're dealing with like difficult people. Six of Cups, people from the past, siblings, family members, old friends, people that are in some way karmically bound to you. The Six of Cups is of course the past, but it's also you know, people from past lives, even if you prescribe to that. There is a contractual agreement here for you to help each other learn and grow. And while beyond the earthly realm, it's all love, there is sometimes that kind of a sense that with these groups of people or certain people, when you experience these relationships, they feel testing and they feel sometimes turbulent, okay? We have the Five of Swords in reverse, but we also have the Four of Swords here at the bottom of the deck. The inner child is coming through in January, I think. They're asking you to rest a little bit more. The Page of Cups here is that inner child coming through. They're asking you to rest a little more, and they're asking you to sleep on it rather than perhaps having to default to a response that you would have made when you were younger, or when you were maybe in a more vulnerable position, even if that wasn't necessarily just when you were a child or teenager. At any point in your life when you were vulnerable, there might have been this response, I guess, to kind of get defensive or go on the offense or just run away altogether or shut down. So there is this like request the inner child is saying to you, like, can you think about things? Can you slow down? Like, can you let yourself not become as reactionary? I'm going to go deeper into that. I just want to pull another card for February. Some of you are actually going to be literally throwing in the towel on some sort of a workout regimen or like physical exercise you've been doing. Okay, well, we do have this very nice balanced card flying out of the deck, the Six of Pentacles. So the two sixes coming through. The reason that you're being challenged in January and February is because you actually are energetically entering what looks like a 6 period in your life. So the sixes are ease and harmony and flow and balance. They are very much linked to the frequency of love and the heart chakra. So this is kind of saying that there's going to be a period of life that is unfolding for you that is going to just feel so much more easy. The only problem with the sixes are, and it's really hard to fault them, is that sometimes life can become so harmonious that we kind of get a little bit restless or actually are seeking a challenge to sink our teeth into, or just something to kind of like test our mettle almost. But there is something just under the surface that's happening for you now, which is looking like so much more enjoyable and peaceful. You really are just being challenged to battle through certain issues at the moment. Certain false starts, certain delays are coming up, I think, especially in February. It's kind of like, you know, we have 3 knights in the reading. Actually, we have your energy, Knight of Pentacles, we've got the Knight of Rods, Knight of Wands, sometimes seen as, and the Knight of Swords in reverse. So all of those knight energies coming through in the reading. So it's really suggesting that you tackle many of your bigger goals this year, and you got to be flexible when we see the knights. It seems like you really succeed and manage with 2 of your biggest goals this year. We're going to look at why the Knight of Swords is reversed in April and figure out why there is a change in plans. But that's, to me, a big message here for 2024 for you, Virgo. Be flexible this year, because the course of your life, you might think, no, I'm settled, like I know my life path, I can very much predict, it's easy to see for you. The thing about that is, it's like life is never set in stone, and this year is looking like it's a overall bigger year for change and adaptability. So you being flexible is going to really make that transition so much more easy for you, while you still get to reach your goals and like achieve them and feel so motivated and ambitious this year. You actually might be just taking different directions towards reaching them overall. That's kind of like a bird's eye view I'm getting. So let's just kind of get a little bit more microscopic for you here. January, dealing with crap from the past. Is there anything at this point in January that you're ready to surrender from the past? Let go of any emotional baggage. The Five of Swords, okay, so if it isn't to somebody who's directly being projecting on you, projecting their shadow on you, where is your shadow? Where's that kind of the hood up really talks to me about the Five of Swords being like shadow energy. And shadow energy is nothing to be feared, but when it's brought into light, it's particularly less fearful. It's far, far more easy to integrate certain shadows of fear and judgment and insecurity in ourselves when we kind of address it and kind of welcome it in a sense, so that it can be processed. So this would suggest that there are elements from the past that are suppressed or that are coming to light now, so that you're able to manage them, so that you have a fresh, clean slate at the year ahead. It's probably better to get all of this out of the way right at the beginning of the year, I think. And symbols, signs, and messages from the past seem to be coming up. Behavioral cycles, repeating cycles, things that feel familiar, almost in a sometimes uncanny kind of way, that it's uncomfortable because you're quite grown out of it at the same time, but sometimes you just don't know how to let it go. The Nine of Wands is talking about the potential in February to actually let go of something physical. So this could really actually look like a good sign for you in terms of balancing something hormonal, I'm hearing. The Six of Wands is a Six of Pentacles, pardon me, is something that's very balanced and very embodied. It's a Taurus energy, so we are thinking about like the physical body. However, it's Moon and Taurus. We're also linking that to our systems and our overall well-being, and our emotional well-being is so linked to kind of like hormonal settings in our body. This is a really good positive month, perhaps to even look into something like, for me personally, like acupuncture is coming into my awareness, and that's something that I hadn't really thought about before. So for some reason I feel called to even just throw that out there. Obviously not an expert on that in any shape or form, but it's downloading, so why not? The Nine of Wands in reversal is also talking about something that actually you have been striving towards. Like this is training for a marathon, this is a running club, this is something that has been using your physical endurance thus far, but actually some of you are deciding to relinquish that and like put that on the back burner in February, or take a break from it. Perhaps you're just being called, I guess, like greater rest is necessary in January and February. Don't worry, it's not going to be a restful year, because of all these nights are indicating a lot of movement and travel and directions changing and pathways opening for you. But the beginning of the year does look like a call to rest. The Six energy emerging underneath the current here is really welcome. If you feel that things are jangly, unsettled, or like I do get this like defeated energy at the beginning of the year for you, just know that it's because under the surface it's not always completely obvious. Things are recalibrating for you. We have to get back to this kind of like equilibrium almost, so that you can discern your pathways that are emerging with all these nights later in the year, so you know which way to go and you know where to put your focus and priority. And I just see the energy of some certain delays and false starts, not rushing into anything, not being reactive, being really crucial and like supportive for you in the month of January and February. So the King of Rods, nice big shift in the tone of the reading in March. We have an eclipse at the end of March, and to me this eclipse for you, look to your Libra house in your birth chart, Virgo. That's where the eclipse is happening. It's going to be on the 25th of March. It's going to be rather like not brand new or anything like that. This theme has actually been playing out in your Libra house, aka your area of life that the Libra house in your chart represents, since 2023, like about a year before this actually happens. Here we have the King of Wands right at the bottom of the deck again. We have him here in March. So this is a pivotal month for you in terms of your visibility, your reputation, your career, your public service, your like outward presenting sort of way of life, whatever you do there. The Sun card is here too. We have the Sun card coming through in November. So November and March seem to be like really positive and happy months of the year for you. Just like, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be happy moments in every month of the year, but these just seem to be like standout kind of stellar months for you, where you feel very strong and empowered. However, it seems like you still are overcoming challenges in March, much more so easily than January, February. So the Ten of Wands is here coming through with the King of Rods. Very strong, very capable, but that doesn't mean that it's a complete walk in the park. But it does suggest that you're rising to any challenge that comes through. And on the other side of this, there's a real kind of like Midas touch when we see the King of Wands. You could be dealing with a Leo. This is a very Leo energy. This is, you know, the Nine of Wands in reverse in February. You might say like, I'm just going to give up. The Ten of Wands, if this is something that you're meant to stick with, or that is going to really serve that what's in highest and best for you a little more long term, the indication is that March will say, no, don't give up, keep going, because you're really close. You're actually almost there. You're closer than you think to the finish line. And with just a little bit more effort, a little more stamina, you're going to make it to the top of the hill. And what's more, the King of Wands is saying you're going to get recognized for this. There's going to be acclaim, there's going to be victory. So the King of Wands is somebody who kind of is out and about in the world, making shit happen for themselves. This is masculine energy, so having confidence in your having confidence in your choices, making the right choices for yourself, and being considerate of others, of course. You know, we don't want to slip into any kind of like imbalance in the divine masculine. We want to still have empathy when we're in this energy and working with it, but focusing on yourself and your goals. And it is actually a really optimistic and positive month of the year for you, where you achieve a lot, you get recognized, you get validated, you get rewarded for your hard work and effort. And this bodes really well for anything that you're focused on, like career-wise, entrepreneurial, and if there's anything where you are kind of like more visible, or like public, or, you know, like I'm saying, like the public presenting sort of side to yourself. That's really cool, because this doubling energy of the King of Rods is saying like you're going to be embodying the best kind of essence of the King of Rods, and it's highly confident, really dynamic, really sought after energy, and that's kind of where you're at. So the Knight of Swords in the month of April, we have another eclipse in April. On the 8th there is a eclipse in the sign of Aries, solar eclipse, so different kind of flavor altogether. Look to the Aries chart in your look to the Aries house in your chart rather. So this is where there's kind of going to be like a new sort of fresher energy coming through, not like brand new. Again, this kind of theme has been playing out since 2023 in that Aries part of your chart, but we are sort of seeing like a direction, right? There is a direction with the Knights. This is going to tell you where you're not on the right track just as much, if not more, as it's going to tell you that you are on the right track, if that makes sense. That's what the reversal is going to tell me, and that's because this eclipse in Aries on the 8th of April is going to be configured with the North Node of Destiny, purpose, future orientation, where your soul is not experienced yet but wishes to grow. So if you're not on the right track towards that North Node orientation, the reversal of the Knight of Swords will quite swiftly reroute you. And that can be, of course, unsettling in the moment. But the beauty about eclipses really is that, you know, it can sometimes put us on a path that we may not have ordinarily taken, but when we look back in 6 months' time, because the eclipses really fall in 6-month increments, we can see that that was certainly aligned for us, that reroute. The Five of Wands. So the Five of Wands is exactly the so we have the sixth energy I talk about. You are recalibrating, right? So the first quarter of the year might feel unsettling. I hope I'm not throwing you off with the word unsettling, Virgo. It's all for your highest and best. Trust in that. But sometimes when we're in a recalibration before, if things are just really harmonious and peaceful, that might be the recalibration or the shift in direction you need. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. Let's kind of, this Five of Wands can be then that restless energy that's building up like a lot of hot air under the surface. It's again another Leo energy. So I'm seeing big Sagittarius and Leo vibes coming through in the first quarter of the year. It might mean partnership, friendship. It might mean like a teacher relationship or a guide relationship coming through with one of those signs, but they are fire signs, so that could just also suggest that like you are challenging yourself to step into a greater role of visibility or empowerment or position of leadership or kind of authority. And for some that's unfamiliar and uncomfortable, but Aries being the other fire sign where this big heaping pile of astrology happening in the sign of Aries in the springtime here, or in the northern hemisphere, and that's like the sign of pioneering, of leadership, of fearlessness too. So it is about confidence building the first quarter of the year, and it is about shedding a lot of insecurities from the past. So something is agitating you in April, and try not to see this as something that's negative, because what it really is doing is telling you, A, there's life in the old dog yet, that there isn't this, like, life has not slowed down to this stagnant kind of like predictable journey for you, Virgo, nowhere even close. There are things that are still so incredible that are still to unfold for you. You may not even be able to picture these yet, because they're untold, they're unforeseen by you, not in a way that feels like, oh my god, what's going to happen, because we have the Wheel of Fortune coming in May, which is this massive upward spring or upward spiral of events and circumstances unfolded. Basically, when you meet destiny or fate, if that's your prescription, that's what the Wheel of Fortune, well, that's how I read it at least. It's the kind of the written, it's what's written for you. Fate is not going to wait, and there's a time and a place where you're going to be for this timeline to be activated for you, but of course you have free will. So what happens during eclipses, which are very much linked to destiny, and that's March and April and September and October of this year, every 6 months will be the average kind of turning point in our lives. They're kind of like our little timestamps, or that's the sort of a higher power, let's say, or a divine intelligence stepping in and saying like, oh wait, you've got a meeting in May with a timeline that you're not really on right now. We're going to have to change things, like, you know, external circumstances. People will enter, people will leave. You'll have downloads, you'll have epiphanies, you'll have kind of more dramatic endings and more kind of unpredictable beginnings can happen when we're not really on the aligned path. And just because you've got somewhere to be in May that's going to be putting you on the highest and best timeline of your potential in your life right now, that's why things might seem a little bit agitating and you're like, fuck, why am I being pulled this way? Knight of Swords in reverse. The direction I'm going on is different. Like, I have a plan. What the fuck is happening? And I feel like I'm probably cursing now, because that's that agitation building, and I think that you are feeling like resisting this. But like I said, the more flexible, the more adaptable you are this year, the easier this is going to be for you, because overall it's one of the most exciting readings I've seen for all of the signs. I just see a little bit of rigidity and stubbornness. Even though you're a mutable earth sign, there is still this kind of like resistance that I'm finding coming up in this reading, and I just think like, why resist it? It's going to be amazing. So just go with the flow. Things are kind of pulling you in different directions, and where you're noticing tension, like we've got a lot of wand energy, fire energy, so that you're going to be running into, whether they're people, whether they're bosses, whether they're like even just inner friction within yourself. That's that fire energy. It's looking for a channel to it's external, so it's looking for a channel to be used. And so, okay, so if you feel like a lot of irritation, if you feel like frustrated, or that things are kind of seemingly out of your control, find a useful channel for that. Whether it's something artistic, creative, whether it's something like to do with your physical body or expressing yourself physically, dancing, running, even, I don't know, this comes up for like martial arts or training or boxing, finding a new channel for you to export energy while things are still recalibrating. That's all that's happening. It's just a recalibration. So then we get some really amazing major arcana energy. The first major arcana of the entire reading so far, the Wheel of Fortune, and one of my faves. You know, it just tells me that this is the time when things are on the up and up for you. You are shifting to a higher timeline. You are traveling, maybe you're having a massive breakthrough philosophically or spiritually. You are kind of feeling like, okay, things are looking up, and it's one of those kind of, would we say, lucky months of the year. But it's almost just that it's really just, it was always going to happen. This was always going to unfold for you like this. It was just about bringing you up to speed with this blessing. Again, more Sagittarian energy coming through for me. So Sagittarius people you could be dealing with, but also the themes like travel, exploration, adventure, teaching, higher wisdom, unlocking like a more objective and expansive worldview, understanding your reality in a more broad way, and also understanding like where you fit in with this. I'm going to pull 2 cards. We've got the High Priestess, extremely intuitive, and the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is of course more fire energy, but it's very affirmative. It's a very big fat yes, thumbs up from the universe. It's time to go with this. So things are in complete alignment for you in the month of May. And whatever kind of like pathway you're on in May, I really like this, and I would particularly read this as validation to say like, yes, believe in this, believe in yourself. This is like unfolding for you in a really positive way. And you know, it doesn't seem like you have to be super aggressive with this. It seems like, in a sense, it's one of those periods in our life when, you know, destiny is kind of doing the work for you. And sometimes, well, the High Priestess would kind of confirm that to me as well. Like, all you have to do, and sometimes this is contradictory, right? Because the aces usually read as the seed of potential. This is possible, and right now when the ace appears, it's even, everything is always possible, but when the aces appear, it's like saying, this is a particularly possible time right now. Like, it's particularly fertile, it's particularly rich, the soil. If you were to act on something now, strike while the iron is hot, you would get really rapid results. Okay, so the aces present themselves as opportunity and potent possibility, but the message sometimes is, or usually is actually, that you have to actually do something to activate it. However, because the Wheel of Fortune is saying like, it's already written, so come what may, the High Priestess is incredibly a passive yin energy, receptive, not yang, not dynamic, taking action. In fact, sitting back and waiting with patience and vulnerability and an inner trust. So to me, that would just say that May is going to be full of opportunity. You don't have to try too hard. Do what makes you feel comfortable. Like, if you don't want to let anything pass you by, I totally get that. But kind of centering into this core belief, Virgo, might be useful. If this is it's certainly a core belief of mine, that what's for me won't pass me. Or that like, I'm always in the right place at the right time. Things always work out okay. Of course, it's not fundamental 100% of the time, but because it's such an ingrained core belief, and because we are co-creating our realities, and this is something that we're becoming more and more aware of as humanity, as the consciousness of humanity is expanding, there are universal truths that we're beginning to understand. And if you sit back, this is still going to unfold for you in the highest and best way. So that's May. In June, this is a very productive energy where things run very smoothly for you because you're on the right path. This is why this is called alignment. This is called just sort of going with the flow and watching things grow and unfold for you. The Three of Pentacles speaks to also friendship, teammates, workmates, collaboration, success in all of those arenas of life. Honing a craft, becoming more skilled, becoming more masterful, completing a great work, or working on something important to you comes through in the month of June. Let's see what else. The Two of Pentacles with the Three of Pentacles. In the background, the Ace of Cups and the Star card coming through is a really lovely message of June beginning a massive turning point under the surface of healing and love. So this reading didn't scream, you know, I've got the Queen of Cups here, which is a cup energy, and the Six of Cups at the beginning of the year, but I think that's more about your past baggage and like past issues rather than something super joyous in a sense, if I'm being, if I'm reading truthfully. But the Queen of Cups is in July, something that is healing. And I think, that's really that's when your inner world becomes the focus. So the outer world, like your goals, ambitions, the direction you're on, your masculine yang energy is what's coming through so much for like the bulk of the first half of the year. So it does make sense that now under the surface, you're preparing for July to be something that is more introspective, deeply nurturing, heart chakra oriented, and kind of like healing and restorative, especially around certain relationships. So that's something to look forward to. But now let's just kind of get back to June for a second. You have a choice to make in June, and I think it's now high time that you begin to really trust in yourself, because you've been making choices so far, and if you find that eclipse season this year in May or in March and April is particularly jangly for you, or disorientating or unpredictable, take that as your litmus test, Virgo, that it's because you're working on something or putting your focus towards something that is not in full alignment for you. But because I believe that shift happens in April, and then like the aligned path kind of like comes through in such a vibrant, optimistic and opportunistic way for you in May, I think now that you kind of, and like you feel really good about that, I think that you weighing up these decisions about what to do next, or sort of where to put your focus. The Two of Pentacles, again, it is that recalibrating energy, isn't it? It's like, should I put my effort here, or should I continue to put focus there? It also could speak to like what you're doing with your money or your investments or your resources. Resources can also be, who are the people you sort of tend to invest time with? Who are the people you choose to work with and collaborate with? This could also be like you considering, like basically it is you considering in June where you're putting your efforts, your energy, where your energy is going. That manifestation is going to flow there, as we know. So this is just about you weighing it all up and seeing the pros and the cons, and also just really having confirmation of what truly is working for you. But also I do think this is a consideration around like where you're spending your money, time, and what skills are important for you to now hone in on, and what's important for you to put your focus towards. Results is going to be another like litmus test kind of energy, where you're getting good results. I think that June is a really positive time to sort of like take that as good validation. Like, okay, well, I'm getting good results here. I'm in a flow state here. I'm not reaching a restriction or block or kind of energy that's sort of showing me a dead end. That's a really good way to say like green light, progress. So yeah, and entering the second half of the year with the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups, like I said, it's kind of our most introspective card of the year, where a lot of inner healing happens in July, because you have obviously been cultivating a lot of love and respect for yourself, cultivating a lot of self-worth, and because you're being more compassionate and graceful with yourself and kind of merciful with yourself and forgiving with yourself, because the queens are quite an internal direction of energy, because all of that like cup energy and like love is being directed towards your inner self. That actually allows you to be more compassionate with other people around you, because we really can only love other people as much as we love ourselves. Like, that's kind of one of those universal truths. We can't trust anybody else more than we trust ourselves, because it's just a frequency that has to be cultivated, and without full love for ourselves, how can we fully love another? The Three of Cups. I should have said this, but the Three of Cups came flying out of the original deck. When I was shuffling, that was the card that fell out before I pulled this spread. And I was like, I gotta tell Virgo about this. Anyway, nonetheless, that doesn't matter either way. What made me think when I saw the Three of Cups the first time, I was like, oh, okay, the cup is... I had a different thought though. What was it? Because the King of Cups came out right after it. Okay, so this could be a time where you're celebrating a particular relationship for yourself. Okay, so from July onwards, if there is a portal now that opens for a romantic relationship to become important, for a mother-child, father-child, parental relationship to become important, whether it's with your own children, whether it's with your own parents. There's something fundamental here that becomes really important to you with somebody that you deeply love, or perhaps it's the opportunity for that to enter, because we saw the Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck a moment ago, the potential for love, the potential for connection. I also did just see like a very healing energy with the Three of Cups. Like, of course, the Three of Cups is celebration, so this could be a time where there is toasting and hosting and partying and raising glasses, and this is a time to celebrate in your life, and maybe you're being celebrated, maybe you're celebrating somebody else. Like, this is not just a maternal energy. It could be the maternal energy you're showing yourself, but it's also like people in our life, like feminine energies in our life that love us. Basically, they're coming up for celebration, they're coming up for a milestone. The Three of Cups also suggests that there's a tight emotional support system around you, which is uplifting, which is not like January, where there's clearly kind of like, I'm not going to say like an enemy in the camp or anything like that. For a lot of you in January, it's you're the enemy of your own demise, you know. I think 9 times out of 10 we're our own worst enemy either. But you are noticing like, oh, okay, because the Six of Cups is the past and friendships and sibling relationships. And sometimes we, you know, before our Saturn return, at least before the age of 29, the people we meet typically are people we've met before, right? Then, you know, during our Saturn return from like 28 to 30, the people we meet are the people that like kind of teach us a big ass lesson. And then afterwards, if that's the age you're at, Virgo, perhaps not, we're meeting people that we are choosing to meet as part of our dharma rather than our karma. That's just something that a belief I would prescribe to, that I thought I would share. It resonates with me. It may not resonate with you, and always just take what resonates. The Three of Cups and the Queen of Cups, a very emotionally uplifting, satisfying, happy and joyful month for you to really just have fabulous time in July. So great, you know, no real need to go any deeper into that. As we enter Virgo season in August, we do have the Knight of Pentacles here, which is your energy, and it's another knight. Okay, so April, you had to change course for whatever reason, which is good. Now you're okay, you're like, so obvious, I'm on the right track in August. This couldn't be more apparent. Like, things are building steadily, things are progressing. Might not be rapidly. The Knight of Pentacles, like, you know, Virgo, it has that energy around Virgo archetypes like preparation, due diligence, and things like that, like being like patient and allowing for something to show you signs that it's got potential. Obviously, you know, you're not a time waster. So this is what's happening in August. It's like this path I'm on shows complete potential. It feels right, it feels easy, and I just have to kind of keep progressing, and eventually I'm going to get to my target. It's lovely. It's just very grounded. The Knight of Pentacles would be showing like, yes, I'm on the right track now. This is also a good month for you to, if February you were like, I don't know, you had a little injury, you couldn't train as hard, you couldn't get out for your evening walk or your morning walk, you know, your yoga practice fell out. I do see something to do with your physical body taking a setback, or you just don't have that interest anymore. August would actually be a great time for that for something new to come through. Yeah, that's not going to be for everybody, of course, but I do get that message. Oh yeah, the Empress card, love that. The Empress card is probably my favorite card in the major arcana, because it just shows continuing, like, it's the number 3. We've got the Three of Cups. The Queens are a 3. 3 is essentially a number of inner richness. So we've cultivated so much inner richness and inner love that it's just spilling out from every pore of ours, kind of overflowing from every cup, so to speak, which cups are kind of a symbol of a vessel of water and or container of love, basically. So now we've just cultivated so much of that within ourselves at this point that we're in one of the best places of our life, because we're on the right path. It couldn't be more clear. And the Empress card also speaks to gratitude and abundance, of course, and just like deep inner richness and fulfillment. So eventually that's going to become your body, the vessel, or your auric field, let's say, is going to be saturated with this good energy, love, harmony, blessings. So what's going to happen at that point? It needs to meet an energetic match on the external to mesh with, to merge with, to spill over to. This is the time sometimes where we can be so full up with love that it's just the time for us to birth something into the world. It's time to release that passion project. It's going to be time to share what we've been working on, share a part of ourselves, share some of our blessings. And other times this can be a time where, we meet somebody who is of the same frequency. Of course, they're not going to be somebody of a lower frequency. It's going to be a energetic match of like love and harmony and blessings and things like that. So that's what's kind of going to be awaiting you on the external. That's something to really look forward to in August. And it's, of course, just a card of abundance and things like that. So interestingly, at the bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Cups, which shows an eclipse in the corner. As we move into September, there is an eclipse beginning, a new sort of flavor of eclipses now. This is actually going to be September 17th is an eclipse in Pisces, and this is going to be the starting point of the Virgo Pisces sequence of eclipses that will run from September 2024 for 18 months roughly from there. So I feel like for a lot of us, this Pisces eclipse it's new, it's unfamiliar for the longest time. So look to the Pisces chart or Pisces house in your chart. This is where something thematic is brewing. It's something that, hasn't been activated in, a decade or more. So it's something then that, like it's destiny, so it's time for this to be lit up for you. And you have the Four of Wands, it's in reverse. So for a lot of you, this will be a change in terms of job and home, I think. Moving, redecorating, renovating, moving state, moving province or country or county or city. A lot of you will be moving company. I'm going to take two cards here. I've got the Five of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. And for better or for worse, right? This move is going to bring up some eventual, it'll bring up, for some financial things to consider, like, can I afford this, or this is going to cost me. And if you're moving company, or if you're moving position, or you're the business, you might be selling your business, you might be leaving something behind in terms of like a venture of yours. The Four of Wands in the reversal is sort of suggesting that something that had been structurally sound for you for a significant amount of time now is no longer viable or stable. That's what the reversal of the Four of Wands tells me, and it's typically something to do with a domestic situation, a company, a home and living situation, or work, or an institution. So this doesn't have to be something that's in your direct, like, kind of like inner world. This could be like a institution that you admire, or a ideology that you prescribe to, a political belief, a religious belief, a structural institution that for you no longer is sound anymore. It's shaky and you don't trust it. So that comes up with the Five of Pentacles, like, okay, I don't trust in this anymore, so I'm not going to continue putting my efforts there. You don't like your neighborhood anymore. I don't know, a new person started at work that gives you the kind of heebie-jeebies, or you just have an awareness shift that, like, yeah, it seems, I'm not going to say shady or anything like that, and certainly not threatening, but just that you don't need to really say anymore. The Queen of Pentacles is now then this kind of thriving energy that's so different. It's kind of like, because a lot of you now, Virgo, are going to be saying, like, I deserve so much better. And this is a beautiful domestic situation. It's real harmony in the home. You love where you live. You like how it looks. It feels like a very sacred space, a safe haven for you. That's the Queen of Pentacles energy. So that could be applied to, of course, work or personal life. It could be home and living situation or something in your external world that you kind of have an ambition towards creating a more sacred, divine and happy, just like thriving, beautiful space for yourself, because you know you deserve it. So that's September. October, so we're getting to the end of this reading here, last quarter of the year, and I would love, Virgo, if you would subscribe at this point if you haven't already, you know, like this video, share this video, comment. How has your January been so far, or do you see any of this being likely for you this year? A reminder to take what resonates, leave the rest. Let's have a look at the Seven of Wands and the month of October for you. The final eclipse in Libra that we're going to see now for a long time. Bye-bye Libra eclipses. Okay, that's going to be happening in the month of October. A kind of closing down ceremony in the Libra house in your chart in terms of like realignment, in terms of shedding what's not working in that area of your life, and in terms of stepping into like more obligation or obvious fulfillment around what is. What I love to see is, again, some of our duplicating cards at the bottom of the deck. You know, the King of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune have been some of my very favorite cards to see for you for 2024. I like to see them again and again, especially with the Knight of Wands, or King of Wands has come through now 3 times. The Wheel of Fortune, obviously. Yeah, this is just the continued upward spiral. Like I said, eclipses do pertain to destiny and fate, and so does the Wheel of Fortune. October with this eclipse, you're really kind of on the right path now. Any challenge, Seven of Wands, and challenge is a word that we should be like looking forward to seeing this year, because you rise to them every time, and then you transform, and then you're stronger than ever, and then you're more formidable than ever, and then you are more proud of yourself. So it just does everything for your self-esteem and confidence and your reputation, of course. The Seven of Wands is saying like stand firm. If people are trying to push you around or boss you around, it would be kind of like embarrassing if they did, because you know, who would try and push the King of Wands around? That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, you know, things that might have challenged you in March when you were really kind of like beginning this journey with King of Wands energy, or you know, you still had a bit to go yet with the Ten of Wands, that would suggest that to me. The Seven of Wands is much more manageable, and you're like used to this now, so you're kind of like stepping into more fulfillment and more happiness in October, but it is coming with you now like proving yourself, not even just to yourself. I get the impression that you have to prove yourself to others in the month of October, but you have success. You have the upper hand and advantage in all of your dealings in October. Here's you, Knight of Pentacles again with the Fool card in reverse. But yeah, just take your time. The Fool card in reversal is just saying like impulsivity is not the way forward. The Knight of Pentacles is saying like that kind of continued progress, like, you know, you can see your blessings, they're tangible in August. Continue with that energy for the month of October even. And why it's coming up as like this is a challenge is because people are going to be it's like you have to defend yourself or defend what you stand for, and like it's irksome, but you will have the upper hand and advantage overall. I love to see the Sun card in November, so we're seeing a real reason for bliss, happiness, joy and authenticity to come through in November. What is the reason for that? I'm sure it's going to be different for all of you watching, but the Sun card is, you know, it's the happiest card in the deck, so what's the cause for that? Life in general. There seems to be a meeting of kindred spirits here, soulmates or like-minded people. And oh, there's that King of Cups. Okay, so the Four of Pentacles coming through, but I did say that the King of Cups fell out of the other deck with the Three of Cups as well. So for some of you, relationship, a strengthening, a commitment in your relationship, like something that comes through that sort of really Four of Pentacles solidifies and like yeah, you know, it just like holds this whole thing down for you in November. So it's like, yeah, this is a definite time of one of your relationships to be extremely secure and foundational, and it's a really happy time in your possibly romantic relationship. If that's not something that's not something that's playing out for you in November, it's also a time where you just feel very secure in yourself. This is a very like secure card, so I just think like, I think your insecurities are massively triggered in January and February, if I'm honest, just as I see the rest of this reading unfold, and like how nothing similar to January and February has actually even come up. So, you know, I mean, it's going to be pretty soon where you'll be able to check in with that and see if that actually held up to be true. But your insecurities are massively under a spotlight. Your core wound, like, yeah, that's coming up in January. And then like November is like, you couldn't be more secure in who you are. You couldn't like be happier with the version of yourself, the person you see in the mirror. The Four of Pentacles is deeply rooted in your sense of self. The Sun card, of course, is an essence of ourself, and it's incredibly authentic. So love that. Finally, the Knight of Rods. There is a direction shifting again in December. December, going back to August, going back to April, they would be the 3 months where you have a goal to attain. April seems like the one where like it may not even be reached, or it's actually quite changed at that point. Whereas August and December seem to be like times of the year where you're really like, if not achieving that goal, you're very much on the right track and taking like the necessary steps of action towards it. So yeah, that's what December looks like. Of course, travel comes up with the Knight of Rods, movement, busyness, and like a sense of direction. What else? The Two of Wands. Yeah, so like very much, yeah, so travel for sure. Deciding on where you'd like to go next, on what parts of the world you'd like to see next, where you'd like to explore, where your next adventure is taking you. These are all kind of questions that are coming up in December, because I guess you feel very brave. Like, I guess you feel very like you have this thirst for adventure and new experience and excitement and thrill in your life. So this just sort of seems like you're considering what that direction is for you. The Six of Swords at the bottom of the deck, that certainly is talking about like a lot of movement, even overseas. We've got the water here as well, so that could be coming up, whether it's vacation or move in December. But yeah, I'll leave you with that, Virgo. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me today and tuning in. I'm wishing you all the very best for 2024. Talk to you soon.